Antique Quest. My name's Steve Harris. I am owner-operator of Harris & Sons Auctions, an antique auction house, as well as Portobello Road Antiques, and have been doing this for over 40 years, working from the flea market through shows and show promoting and appraising, and now operating, like I say, an antique store as well as an antique auction house. And we are going to bring you a series of videos on every aspect of the antique trade. Whether you're a beginner or you're a professional, hopefully we'll have a lot of tips for you, and hopefully you'll enjoy it and subscribe, and we'll see what more we can bring you. And today we're going to give you 10 top tips for going to an auction. Now, I do get a lot of people ask me, they've never been to an auction before, they're a little nervous about going to an auction, and don't be that way. First of all, it's a great place to pick up great deals. You have a lot of fun. You're not committed to buy anything, so get out there and try one. Look in your local papers. They always advertise there. Great places to find them. Facebook, Kijiji, that sort of thing. There's always ads for an auction. And go out and see one. You'll have a lot of fun, and hopefully you'll get some great deals. So we're going to give you our top 10 tips you need to know for auction. You ready? Okay, let's go. Okay, number 1, arrive early. All auctions have what's called a preview time. Now what that means is it'll say preview 9 o'clock, start 10 o'clock, and it means exactly that. You're allowed into the hall at 9 o'clock, and you can look over all the items for an hour. Some are a little longer, hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on the auction. And the auctioneer's not going to start auctioning until 10 o'clock. So that gives you a good amount of time to look over the items. You want to look for cracks, chips, water damage and artwork, this sort of thing. Don't be afraid to pick things up and look at them. Give them a good look. Turn them over. If you're unsure if it's a big piece or it's in a case, then ask the auctioneer. He'll have some handlers there that will be able to help you and get it out for you. Ask as many questions as you can and just ascertain what it is you may be bidding on. Okay, that's tip number 1. So you want to arrive when preview starts. There's less people. It's a little easier to get around. If you wait till the last minute, you're either going to be in a crowd of people and you won't be able to get at that item you want, or you might come really late when the auctioneer's already auctioning, and a lot of them don't like you looking. Some do. They let you look, but you're going to feel uncomfortable with everybody eyes forward. So arrive early, get that all out of the way. You can go get a coffee before the auction starts, whatever you want to do, and just be back in time for the beginning. Okay, number 2. Don't hide your bid. Okay? As an auctioneer, believe me, don't hide your bid. Don't wiggle your nose, blink your eye, tug on your ear. Give him a good solid bid. Put your hand up, yep. Once he sees you and acknowledges you and another bidder, you just simply have to nod yes or no, or look away. But if you lose the item because you didn't put your hand up enough for him to see, he's trying to look at 200 people at one time. It's easy to miss a blink, a nudge, a wink. That's really only in the movies. In real life, get your card up, put your hand up, get his attention somehow, and then once you have it, then you can do more of a subtle yeah, that sort of thing. Okay, so that was number 2. Number 3, look at everything. When you go in there, you might say, okay, we really like that table, and I'm going to look at that vase over there. Look at the things you don't think are going to be even in your price range. You might walk in and go, wow, that's going to be too expensive. I'm not even going to look at that. You want to look at everything, because what will happen is all of a sudden it's going to seem like everybody wants that same thing that you wanted, and all of a sudden there's no bidding on that thing you thought was going to be way too much, and you haven't really looked at it, so it's a little sketchy to bid on something you haven't looked at. It might have had his legs sawed in half and glued back together just to hold it in place for the auction. You never know. So look at it first, and then if no one else seems to be wanting it that day, you could find yourself with a really good deal that you weren't expecting. 9 times out of 10, you're going to go home with a different set of items than you thought you were going to get when you went there. Okay, that's number 3. Number 4, and this is an important one, depending on the auction house and how they do it, understand what you're bidding on by that, what I mean is, if the auctioneer says, okay, on choice, and they hold up 10 items, that means you're only buying one of them. You're not getting all 10. It's on choice. So what that means, if you're the high bidder and you win, let's say you bid $15 as your high bid, then you have a choice of any one of those 10 items for $15. And you can take 1, 2, all 10 if you want, but you're going to pay that each. So when the auctioneer says on choice, that means you're paying per item. Okay, the other thing is times the money. Now that one, I don't particularly use that very often, but it does come into play in auction houses. And that's where there may be 10 items being held up and you're buying each, but they're expecting you to take all of them. So it's going to be times the money. So if you bid $15, all of a sudden you owe $150 because you did buy all 10. You didn't get choice. It was times the money. So just understand, in most cases you're going to be bidding on one item and they're going to be holding it up or tapping it with their hand if it's a piece of furniture, something like that, so you'll know exactly what you're bidding on. But if you don't be too afraid to stop the auctioneer and just get a clarification. They're not going to mind that as long as you don't do it all the time. If you do it all the time, it's going to frustrate them. It slows down the auction, and that is the last thing an auctioneer wants to happen. So, okay, so that's number 4. Number 5 is know what the buyer's premium is. So what a buyer's premium is an additional cost on top. So if it's a 10% buyer's premium and you buy something for $5, you've really just bought it for $5.50. You do get taxed on a buyer's premium, and a lot of people ask me, why did the buyer's premium come around? It's a good question. Auctioneers can't give themselves a raise. So cost of living raises just don't work with auctioneering. If things are really popular and people are buying a lot, then auctioneers make more money. If the trend is downward and people really aren't buying, auctioneers have a hard time making any money. So what happened was, instead of charging the consignor more money, so typically let's say an auctioneer will charge 25% to sell something for somebody. You know, some started to go 30%, 35%. Some of your major auction houses and that can charge a heftier amount. Sometimes they charge less. So the buyer's premium was a way to be able to make more money, to make it feasible to even have auctions. You know, there's costs of halls and staff, and advertising in particular is getting very expensive. So that was sort of a way to boost up the auctioneers, way to make a living, really. So what that does is it allows you, if you want to bid lower, 10% lower, then bid 10% lower, stop at $4.50, and you're going to come out actually a little bit ahead. It's a fair playing field, so everybody has to pay that buyer's premium. So it just, if you all pay a little bit less, more of the money might go to the auctioneer, but that allows them to have auctions, and otherwise it's all going to be online, and there's really no fun in that as far as I'm concerned. Okay, number 6, jump in early. This is probably one of the best techniques. Let's say you go to an auction and there's one item you really want, and you're thinking, you know, I'm going to pay $200-300 for that item. Don't wait for it to go down to $5. If you wait for it to go down to $5 trying to get the best deal you can, there's going to be a lot more people interested, and a lot of people, once they're in bidding, they get carried away and they can't stop, or they'll go a lot further than they would have gone. So this is a great technique. I've used it in the past, especially when buying from my antique store. I'd see an item that I wanted to pay $100 for, and sure, I might have been able to hold out and get it for $20, but I jump in right away at $50. So as soon as he puts it up for sale, $50. And what that does is it kind of gets everybody else to sit on their hands and go, oh, he's really serious about that. Oh, I don't want to pay that much. And often, and I would say 7 out of 10 times, I'll get that item for the $50. And no one else will bid. So your advantage there is that you stop them from getting involved by starting it high. I've still got it for half what I was willing to pay. So it's a great way. If you have one or two items that you really want, just start it high. You know, cut out all the baloney. Don't let everybody else get in on the action, and you'll probably stop most of them from trying. Okay. Scare off the competition. I had it number 7, which is really what I just told you in the jumping in early. That's what you do. You scare off the competition. So they think you're serious. But I'll give you an extra one at the end, so don't worry. Okay. Don't ask for all your items to be put up first. This can be really frustrating, one. And two, auctioneers generally have a pattern they want to follow, so they know they've sold everything. And if you get one or two people there that just, they don't want to wait, they want to go home early, and they say, you know, they hit your handler and say, hey buddy, can you get that put up for me? I gotta go, I got things to do. And, you know, maybe the auctioneer will do it for you. Some won't do it at all, especially if it's a catalog auction. They're not going to put things out of order just to please one person. And please remember that everybody there would like to get home early. So it's unfair for one person to keep asking for all their items to be put up first so they can bid on them and then go home. The other problem is, when you do that, you're going to have a lot more people bidding on that item that you wanted, because crowds tend to start big and shrink down as an auction goes. Always happens. Stay later, which is going to be a tip in a minute. Okay, number 9. Don't be afraid of the dealers. I hear this all the time. People say, well, the dealers bought everything, or I can't bid there, I can't get anything, the dealers buy it all. Here's the big secret that a lot of people already know, but just in case you don't, dealers don't want to pay more than half of what they're going to sell it for. So if you really want that item and a dealer's bidding on it, don't let him scare you away. He's only going to bid half of what he thinks it's worth. Chances of him bidding higher is only if he knows someone and it's already sold. He might stick his neck out a little further. In this day and age, 10 years ago it was a 50% rule. This day and age, it's almost down to a 25% rule, because it's harder business now. There's less collectors than there was when the Victorian craze was in and everybody wanted clutter and the more they could get their hands on. It's a little more selective now, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. Totally lost my train of thought, so I'm going to have to dub this in. So your dealers are not going to run the prices up. Sometimes you'll have a couple dealers battle over something, but they're not going to pay 100% of what something's worth. There's no margin left in it for them. So don't be afraid of dealers. They're just there to try and get a great deal, and that's why they go there, because they know they can get a good deal at auction. And in a lot of cases, they can get something for a price that they would be embarrassed to go into somebody's house and offer them for. I mean, I've bought things in auction for $10 that I would have felt like a real heel if I'd offered the people any less than $100 in their house for it. So there is great deals to be had at auction. You just have to bide your time. It might not be every auction. It might be every second auction. And that happens a lot. People will go to an auction and they'll say, man, the prices were so high. And then the next one, half as many people go. And then the next story coming out is they sold everything for nothing, for $2. And then they go, oh, I wasn't there. So then they rush back to go, and then everybody did. And then the prices go up. So go to more than one to get your full opinion. Number 10, stay till the end, or real close to the end. Because like I say, crowds are going to drop. You're going to get less and less people. You got less competition on every item that comes up. There's going to be less people that are going to bid against you. I have a lot of people say to me, oh, I couldn't stay, I had to go halfway. What did that go for? And then I say, oh, it sold for $100. And then, oh, I would have paid $300 for it. Guys that stay to the end, your flea market dealers, if you want to start getting into flea markets, we're going to have a video on that too, how you can get into that. It's a great time to stay. I have actually, at the end of auctions, where I had 3, 4, 5, maybe 10 people left, I've sold an entire table of items for under $50. You know, we just have to move it along. There's no specific interest in any one item. We just say everything on the table. So you can pick up some fabulous deals there, even if you only want 10 items on the or 3 items on the table and there's 25. Take the 3 out you want and put the 25 and consign them back to an auctioneer later as a box lot, and you'll get more money back for it, and you got the items you wanted. So number 11, because I kind of cheated on that 6 and 7, number 11 is if it's your first auction, don't think everyone there knows it's your first auction. If you follow these rules, no one's going to have any idea that you haven't been to an auction before. I know when you go to your first auction, you get this feeling like these people are always here all the time and they're all looking at me and I'm the new guy here and they must be thinking, who's this guy? Don't worry about it. Every single auction I have, there's people I've never seen before. Some of them are even my best buyer for that auction and I never see them again and I never understand why. There's a massive turnover in auctions. You know, there's guys that come from out of town to go to somebody else's auction. People on holidays go to a local auction and they're not there all the time. So if it's your first auction, just go, follow these simple rules. You're going to have a lot of fun, usually get a lot of laughs in an auction house. You know, it's a great day out. You don't have to spend any money, but you'll get to see how it goes and maybe you'll get a great treasure. But there's a lot of great things to get in auction. You can take them home and sell them on Kijiji, make yourself some money. All sorts of different ways to sell them. Those are all future videos that we're going to give you. So this is just like a little overview of from an auctioneer standpoint and an antique dealer standpoint on how to go about going to your first auction and what to look for, and hopefully you'll have a lot of great tips. Now, if you like what we've told you, we do hope you'd press the like button, and we would really covet anybody that wants to be a subscriber and click that subscribe button, and hopefully we'll be bringing out videos. Our plan is once a week, and we're going to be going over all sorts of great things. We're going to take you with us out on the road, traveling. We're going to go to flea markets and garage sales and on calls and appraisal jobs, the whole bit. So hopefully you'll join us, and we're going to have a lot of fun. And thanks very much, and we'll see you next week. God bless.